There was a time, not very long ago, when building wealth was almost entirely dependent on one thing: access. Access to capital, access to knowledge, access to the right people, and the right markets. If you were born into a family that already had money, you could start a business. You could hire staff, rent office space, build infrastructure, and slowly grow. But if you were born without those resources, the path was significantly harder. You could work for someone else, save slowly over decades, and perhaps, if everything went right, build something modest toward the end of your working life. The system was not impossible, but it was slow. The gap between poor and financially free was wide, and the bridge across it was long. That was the old world, and many people are still thinking of that old map while living in an entirely different territory. The modern economy operates on fundamentally different rules, not because the principles of effort and discipline have changed. Those have not changed and never will, but because the infrastructure of opportunity has changed completely. Today, a person with a laptop, an internet connection, and genuine curiosity has access to tools and markets that simply did not exist for ordinary people 20 years ago. That is not an exaggeration. It is simply the reality of where we are. Think about what it used to cost to reach an audience. A traditional business needed physical premises, advertising budgets, distribution channels, and years of relationship building before any significant revenue appeared. Today, someone can create content on a platform like YouTube, upload it for free, reach millions of people across the world, and eventually generate income from that audience, without a single office, without staff, without massive starting capital. The barrier to entry has dropped so dramatically that the bottleneck is no longer money. The bottleneck is now knowledge, consistency, and patience. And this is the part that many people misunderstand. They see someone with a successful YouTube channel or a profitable online business, and they think the success happened quickly. They see the result without seeing the process. What actually happened in most cases is that someone spent 1 year, 2 years, sometimes longer, creating content that almost nobody watched, uploading videos that received a few hundred views, learning what worked and what did not, adjusting, improving, studying the craft. And then, at some point, something clicked. A video performed well. The algorithm responded. The audience grew, and from the outside, it looked like an overnight success. But the overnight success was built on 2 years of quiet, invisible preparation. This pattern repeats across almost every modern financial success story. A trader who eventually catches a major market opportunity did not get lucky in isolation. They spent years studying price movements, understanding risk, making small trades, losing some, learning from those losses, refining their approach. The big result came suddenly. The preparation happened slowly. Results almost always look sudden from the outside and gradual from the inside. The same is true for freelancers who built six-figure incomes from digital skills. A graphic designer, a copywriter, a software developer, a video editor, people who learned their craft either through formal education or through free and affordable online courses, who then offered those skills to clients globally through platforms that connect talent with demand across every time zone. The income did not appear instantly, but the opportunity to build that income existed in a way it simply could not have 20 or 30 years ago. A skilled writer in a small town in one part of the world can now serve a client in a completely different continent. Geography is no longer the defining limit it once was. E-commerce is another example. Someone with a product idea, or even the ability to source existing products, can build a store, reach customers through digital marketing, and generate real revenue, sometimes starting with a few $100s of initial investment rather than the tens of thousands that a physical retail setup would have required. The scale is different, the speed is different, and the learning resources are accessible to almost anyone with a connection to the internet. But here is the honest and important part of this conversation. None of this removes the need for discipline. None of this removes the need for effort, focus, and genuine learning. The modern world has made the door easier to open, but you still have to walk through it, and walking through it requires something that many people underestimate: the willingness to spend time learning before results appear. Think about this honestly. What happens if someone spends the next 10 years doing nothing but consuming entertainment, scrolling endlessly, watching hours of content every day, never building a skill, never studying a market, never creating anything? What does that person's financial situation look like in a decade? Now think about someone who spends those same 10 years learning. Not perfectly, not without mistakes, but consistently. They pick a direction: content creation, trading, freelancing, digital business, and they invest time in understanding it. What does that person's situation look like in 10 years? The two futures are not even comparable. Time passes regardless. The question is only what you do with it. Some of the most recognizable entrepreneurs of the modern era started with very little. The bare a gap, built something small, iterated constantly, and scaled what were the tools they used: cloud infrastructure, social media distribution, digital payment systems, global talent networks. These were not available to previous generations. The playing field has genuinely changed, not in the sense that success is now easy, but in the sense that the entry point has lowered and the speed of feedback has increased. You can test an idea faster, learn faster, correct faster, and therefore grow faster than at any previous point in economic history. The philosophical truth underneath all of this is simple. Results follow action, not immediately, and not always in the exact form you expected, but consistently over time. Effort does not guarantee a specific outcome, but the absence of effort guarantees nothing changes. Curiosity, the willingness to ask how something works and then go find out, is the starting point of every financial transformation. Not capital, not connections, curiosity and then action. The modern world has created something genuinely new. It has created a world where the speed of financial change is no longer entirely dependent on who your family is or where you were born. It has created a world where someone sitting quietly at home, learning a skill, building something, and staying consistent can look up 5 years later and find themselves in a completely different financial reality than where they started. That window is open right now. The tools exist, the platforms exist, the knowledge is available. The only real question is whether you are willing to use the time you have to prepare for the result you want before anyone else can see it coming.